The views and opinions of the following show do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of News Talk 1450 WOL, Radio 1 Incorporated, or their management.
This is Montgomery Mosaic on 1450 WOL, WPRS, HD2, and worldwide on WOLDCnews.com. Montgomery Mosaic features topics of interest to Montgomery County residents, businesses, and visitors. Here now is your host, Deborah Milo.
Good morning, Montgomery County, and welcome to another edition of Montgomery Mosaic. I'm your host, Deborah Milo. We've got an interesting show for you today. Today's show is going to focus on two very important topics. Now, the first half of the show, we're going to talk about reducing waste, saving money, and going green. And in the second half, we'll talk about the county's residential energy program. Now, for the first part, here to talk about reducing waste and reuse and recycling, I've got Eileen Cayo, Chief of Waste Reduction and Recycling, and Alan Potinovich, Recycling Coordinator with the Montgomery County Department of Environmental Protection. In the second half of the show, we're going to have Larissa Johnson, and she's going to come talk to us about the residential energy program. Eileen and Alan, welcome to Montgomery Mosaic. It's great to have you on the show.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Thank you.
Now, the work you and your team do is very important to the environment here in the county, and I want to kind of start off a little bit by asking why it's important to reduce the amount of waste we generate and recycle more.
Well, in Montgomery County, we have a pretty ambitious goal, first and foremost, to reduce our waste and to recycle 70% of all the waste that we generate by 2020. But from a functional perspective, the more that we can reduce our waste and the more we recycle, the more we ensure that our land, air, and water are cleaner.
And that makes sense, actually. Now, here's what's scary, Eileen, thinking about how much waste we actually produce each year or month.
Each year.
That's really interesting. Alan, you have anything you want to add?
No, like Eileen said, we have this wonderful goal to reduce waste and recycle 70% by 2020. And everyone in Montgomery County, whether they live in Montgomery County or working in Montgomery County, really can make a positive impact in what we're doing to protect the environment by reducing waste and recycling everything that can be recycled here in Montgomery County.
Okay, so now Montgomery County has been in the forefront of recycling for the most part. In fact, if I remember correctly, Eileen, the county has a formal recycling goal. What's the goal?
Our goal is to reduce waste and recycle 70% by 2020.
Right.
And we're doing really, really well with the help and the participation of everyone living and working in Montgomery County. All of us together, we are currently reducing waste and recycling 61% of all the waste that we generate. So we are closing in on this ambitious goal. The thing is, we really, really need everybody's help in this. If we are to meet this goal, we just really need everyone to consider everything that they use. They need to think about ways that we can maybe cut down on the amount of waste that we generate to begin with.
Right.
But then the things that we do use, let's see if we can extend the life of that item by reusing it over and over again. And then when it is at the end of its current useful life, really need everyone to put every single item that they can into the recycling bin, so that it can be actually taken away to a recycling facility, sorted and processed, broken down in order to make ingredients that are then used to make new products.
Exactly. And, how does that achievement compare to other jurisdictions in Maryland?
So our achievement, we're very proud to say, in the state of Maryland, we've got the second highest waste diversion rate.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it is really fantastic. And it's, like I said, it's a testament to the fact that everyone here in Montgomery County, whether they're living here in a single-family home or they're in an apartment or condo, or whether they're working here at one of our many, many businesses and organizations, they really are helping us by reducing waste and recycling as much as they can. We just need everybody to focus and do more of what they are doing.
Right. Alan, do you have anything you want to add to that?
No, I just want to say here in Montgomery County, we do generate a lot of waste. And as Eileen had mentioned, we're currently at 61% our waste diversion rate.
That's just hard to accept.
It is. But when you think about it, I mean, we're talking about over 1.1 million tons of waste generated in the calendar year 2014, which is our last year of data that we have available.
Mm-hmm.
So when we talk to everyone about why it's so important to reduce waste and recycle, it's because of all the waste that is being generated. Everyone generates waste. So it's really important that folks look at what they're doing and make a positive action based on, just throw it in the trash can. Look when they go shopping. Look at ways that they can reduce that amount of waste. So that way we can continue to have this great achievement here in Montgomery County and maximize our efforts so we can hopefully be number one in the next year.
That's right. We want to be number one in the next year.
Absolutely.
Hello again, listeners, and thank you for tuning into Montgomery Mosaic on Talk Radio 1450 WOL. I'm your host, Deborah Milo, and today I have the pleasure of talking to Eileen Kao and Alan Potenovich. We talked about this earlier, didn't we, pronouncing Alan's wonderful name, with the county's Department of Environmental Protection, and they're sharing why it's important to reduce waste and recycle. Listeners, I want you to really lean into this because this is important information that's potentially greater steps to save our planet, and that's what the end goal is actually all about. Alan, you talked about the significance of reducing the waste. Talk about some of the ways that we can reduce waste, the amount that we create. I know we touched on it briefly, but go into a little bit more detail. Eileen, you as well.
Yeah, definitely, Deborah. There are just so many ways people can reduce waste, and it just takes some time to actually think about those actions. So when folks go shopping, look at what you're buying. If you can buy foods in bulk, they have minimal packaging. That way you don't have to figure out, well, is that packaging recyclable or does it go into the trash? So if you buy in bulk, buy bigger packages instead of individually served packaged items, that would reduce the amount of packaging that we have to figure out how to dispose of that. At home and both in the office, folks can double-sided paper when they're printing. So if they have a blank side of paper, they can flip it over, write notes on the back side, default their printer settings. So that way when they print any copies, that it comes out double-sided printing so they don't waste paper.
And if I can segue here for a minute, Alan, that's what I'm happy to say that's one of our county initiatives, is to make sure that we practice as much green as possible. Mr. Leggett had a lot of insight and a lot of wisdom when he wanted to make sure that edict went out, especially when it comes to double-sided printing. I think that's a big one. Very positive step.
It is huge. Yes,
it is.
We do. In Montgomery County,
That's
all of the departments, all the offices and agencies, we we practice what we preach, and we truly, we've got sort of a huge initiative underway that we're pursuing every single day, where we are really trying to cut down on the amount of printing that we do. We're trying to cut down on the amount of mailings, individual mailings that we send out. So, for example, we are using the electronic formats for what previously would have been many different printed newsletters and communiques, for example. At the same time, we acknowledge that not everybody has access to computers.
And that's true, too.
And so we do acknowledge and understand that there's a certain amount of just minimal printing that we do, but we are hoping to have more and more people doing things online and electronically with us. So that's really made an enormous difference. It's really helped the environment by cutting down on the amount of trees that we use up by printing on paper. But also there's been a really significant cost savings. And for a lot of businesses and organizations, that's a huge consideration as well. While we want to make sure that our land, air, and water are cleaner, we also want to make sure that our county remains a very vibrant county, vibrant community, and is economically vibrant as well. I wanted to touch on one thing, and that is that when we talk about reusing items, we talk about reducing the amount of waste that we generate and really turning to reusable items. One of the enormous initiatives that we have in Montgomery County is we really want people to use reusable bags.
Oh, yes. I'm glad you said that, Eileen. Yes.
It's an important initiative. Of
It
course,
is.
it then means that you don't have to worry about whether you need a paper bag or a plastic bag.
That's right.
But in addition, folks can actually save on having to pay 5 cents for a bag by bringing their own reusable bags.
And the bags are nice looking. The reusable bags are really attractive.
They are very attractive. There are many different sizes and
That's
shapes
right.
and designs. And it's not just for the grocery store. It's for all
is.
stores.
You're right
And
about that.
so when people are going not just to the grocery stores, but out to the mall or to whatever place, retail outlet that they're going to, please remember to bring along your reusable bags.
I am so glad that you said that. I have a tendency, if you will, to shop at a certain craft store, which shall remain nameless. You know, and I know every time I go, I make sure, not just to the grocery store, but to the craft store or to anywhere that I go, and they just happen to have really nice bags. They really do. And if tell me if I'm correct or not, most stores actually offer bags that you can purchase now, reusable bags.
Often they do.
Mhm.
Often they have reusable bags. They've kind of taken this initiative and sort of embraced it and are now offering for a price, a reusable bag. But the
Right.
beauty of that is then you have that bag forever. And
That
you
is
can
a good
use it
thing.
over and over and over again.
That is a good thing. I'm sorry, Alan, did you want to add something?
I just want to add, if you do like me, sometimes I do occasionally forget my
Well, I think we
reusable
all
bag, which
do.
is horrible. But when you're at an event, if you see someone giving out reusable bags, everyone thinks, well, I have enough. But if you always take an extra one, leave it in your trunk or in your back seat, so that way when you are running around, you remember that, I still have the extra reusable bag. But if you do forget your bag and you have to get another bag, we just want to remind everyone that it's really important that if you have that plastic bag that you did get at the store, that if you did get one, to make sure you dispose of that or handle that properly when it's done, that if you don't reuse it, that there are many recycling programs for the plastic shopping bags and plastic film here in Montgomery County. Most folks can take it back to most grocery stores here in Montgomery County will accept plastic bags and plastic film, like Ziploc bags, the wrapping around cases of water, for example. All that
Right.
plastic packaging can be recycled by taking back to most of the grocery stores here in Montgomery County. When you go shopping, there should be a box or a container with a label that says plastic bags here. Residents can drop the bags in there, and those bags actually get recycled into alternative lumber products like the decking material, park benches, picnic tables. So if you do have to get a bag to be responsible with it after using it, you should definitely go ahead and recycle that.
That's a fact that I didn't know. And, you walk into certain stores and you do see the recycled bin and you see plastic bags stuffed in the bin. I didn't put two and two together, realizing that that's what that was for. Because I see people actually taking the plastic bags and bringing them back to the store and reusing them again. And I think they think that's how the recycling process works. I don't think they realize that particular bin is there for that. But that's good to know.
Right. And again, in your example, that's great, because if somebody does bring that plastic bag back to the store with them to reuse it over and over and over again. And I know after some time, sometimes they get tattered or they develop a hole. And at that point where you no longer can use it and reuse it, then please, what I always do is I actually will create kind of a basketball in my kitchen, a kind of a ball that's stuffed with bags that have holes in them. And then I tie up kind of the bag to make a ball. And then when I go on a return trip to my local grocery store, I bring it, I put that into the plastic bag recycling bin.
Nice.
And and it does. It gets taken to a processor that is in the region.
Even better,
in the region, and they actually break down the clean plastic and shrink wrap. And what they do is they mix it. That is 50% of the ingredient mix. 50% of their ingredient mix is wood waste, and they create a lumber alternative, and they manufacture lumber alternatives. So now when you go and let's say you're replacing a wood deck, really think about buying recycled.
Right.
Think about ordering materials that are this plastic lumber alternative made from recycled plastic and wood waste and create your deck, for example, with that material, it will actually last longer. You don't have to worry about staining it. You don't have to worry about insects boring into it.
Nice.
Yes. So it has a longer life. But more importantly, it also ensures that there is a demand for recycling those materials.
That's the point. That's the point of it all, to say the least. And listeners, isn't it wonderful to know that these are the things that you can do to be able to help the earth to smile? That's how I like to think about it, you know?
Yes.
Well, Eileen and Alan, this has been such a great discussion. Folks, I want to let you know that you're listening to Montgomery Mosaic on Talk Radio 1450 WOL. Now, when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the county's residential energy program with Larissa Johnson from the Montgomery County Department of Environmental Protection. I want you to stay with us. We'll be back at you real soon.
This traffic and weather update is brought to you by Lead Safe America. Looks like we still have
County friends, welcome back to Montgomery Mosaic. During the break, Larissa Johnson, Residential Energy Program Manager with the county's Department of Environmental Protection, she decided to stop by and join us, and she's going to share some important information about the new energy program. Larissa, welcome to Montgomery Mosaic.
Thank you so very much. It's so great to be here.
I'm so glad you're here because there's so many questions that I want to ask you, and I'm quite sure that our listeners want to learn some things too. Both you and your program are working on are new to Montgomery County. So tell me, why has the county started a residential energy program?
Sure. So I am new, but the residential energy goals are not. And just like Eileen mentioned in the first half, the county has goals for lots and lots of things, and one of those is residential energy. So our goal in the county is for 50% of Montgomery County residents, so the people listening to this radio show, the goal is for you all to reduce our energy consumption 25% by 2020. So just like the goals for recycling and for waste. Same thing. And so the program is actually still being figured out, and the goal that I have been working on for the last few months is to make sure Montgomery County residents know about the programs that already exist. So we've been going into libraries and doing things called energy exploration events where we allow residents to do interactive games to find out about how to reduce energy. We also promote all of the utility programs, such programs like the Quick Home Energy Checkup, which I would love to talk to you about in more detail, and other programs like the lighting and appliance rebates that are also available through PepCo, Potomac Edison, and BGE.
So now are these parts of the programs that residents can take advantage of?
Yeah, so these are all programs that already exist in the county and throughout the state. So as I mentioned before, the Quick Home Energy Checkup is available to all Montgomery County residents, all Maryland residents who pay their utility bill. So it depends on which utility supplier you have, whether it's PepCo, BGE, or Potomac Edison. You call your utility supplier and you say, hey, I'd like a Quick Home Energy Checkup. Then a professional comes to your home, and what they do is they replace your light bulbs from CFLs to LEDs, up to 12 light bulbs. They also give you high-efficiency shower heads. They replace your faucet aerators with low-flow faucet aerators. They give you power strips, which are really smart power strips, and these are the best things out there. They typically cost about $20, but when you do the Quick Home Energy Checkup, everything, the LED light bulbs, the shower heads, the power strips, all go to you at no additional cost.
At no additional cost?
No additional cost. So
very nice.
On average, people are saving about $50 to $75 by having this done in their homes, and then you'll see a reduction in your energy bill as well every single month. So that's a great way to do it.
So now is there a resource where listeners can go to, such as a website, to be able to find out how to apply for that or how to enroll in that program?
Sure. So the program is really easy to participate in. You literally call your utility supplier directly and say, I want a Quick Home Energy Checkup. If you have any additional questions, you're more than welcome to come to our website at mygreenmontgomery.org and then /energy, and you can find out all the information that you need to know.
How does the utility bill and energy usage of the county or Maryland residents compare to the rest of the country?
Sure. So Maryland is actually using, or Marylanders and Montgomery County residents use a little bit more energy than we all do across the country. So in the country, the average is about 903 kilowatt hours per month. So that works out to about $107 a month.
I'm glad you translated that because I was trying to figure out how does that calculate.
Yeah, so we'll do it in cost. And also another way that I like to think about how much energy we use is a lot of people think about how much food they're putting into their bodies or how many calories they're putting into their bodies.
That's a good way to look at it, yeah.
Yeah, so I found a very fun statistic recently, and so basically the amount of energy that we use in a month would be the equivalent of eating a stick of butter every 41 minutes.
Ew.
Yeah.
A stick of butter every 41 minutes.
For a month.
For a month.
Yeah, try that challenge.
No.
It would be very hard to swallow. So on average, that would be about 1,062 sticks of butter in 1 month. Yeah, and your doctor would not be very happy with you
I
if
don't
you
think
ate that
you'd
much
be
butter.
alive.
No.
For one.
So that's a lot of energy, and that's the national average. But here in Maryland, we use about 1,029 kilowatt hours in a month, so that's about $129. So we're above the national average, just slightly.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, Montgomery County's goal is to reduce our energy use 25% by 2020. So there are lots of ways to reduce energy in the home, and I'm going to give you 3 great tips on how to reduce energy every day.
Are these the energy vampires by chance?
Yes, they are. So energy vampires or energy hogs are things that we talk about that they're appliances that are plugged in all the time that are literally sucking energy out and costing hundreds of dollars a year. So number 1, we all love television. And so if you have any shows that you love to tape or DVR, those are one of the biggest energy vampires or energy hogs.
Well, actually, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right.
So the good news is that if you do a quick home energy checkup, which I already mentioned, and is no additional cost, they give you a power strip. And this power strip is actually a smart power strip.
You were talking about that.
Yeah. So you get this at no cost. So what it does is when you plug in your TV, you'll plug it into one part of the power strip, and then you plug your DVR into the other part, or your cable console into another part. And what happens is when your TV is off, they'll turn everything else off so that it's not wasting any energy. But it's still able to communicate with each other so that your shows are still being taped.
But it just turns it off.
Yeah. So that's not it. And so a lot of people think that standby mode is a really good alternative, but it's still sucking energy. And so your DVR, and then also TV or game consoles, so things like Xbox 360 or PlayStation. A lot of people put those on in power mode or safety mode, and they suck out energy as well. So we're talking about $100 a year just for power mode.
Just for, wow, that's significant.
So the power strips through the Quick Home Energy Checkup are one of the best things that you can do. Just call your utility supplier and they will bring you a new one. And then the other thing that we also don't think about, but it's our microwave. Yeah, your microwave sucks out a lot of energy, and if you think about it, you really only use your microwave when you're using your microwave. But we leave it plugged in because we all love the clock. I don't know about you, but my clock is a little crazy, and it has decided to increase a minute every 10 minutes. So every day I change my clock, every day I have to change it, and within an hour, it's 10 minutes ahead.
So that means you're not only on time for work, but very, very early.
Or I just do the opposite and ignore it completely, and I'm late to everything. So if I just, unfortunately, I don't have the option to unplug my microwave because I live in an apartment complex, and I'm in a master meter, and everything's hidden. But if you have the ability to unplug your microwave, I would suggest unplugging it and then plugging it in only when you're using it. So we average about 70 hours a year that we actually use our microwaves, and that's not a lot of time if you're thinking about how many hours there are in a year and how often that's plugged in. So that's another one of those appliance vampires.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Appliance vampires, listeners, you got to keep these tips in mind because it really can save you some money at the end of the year. You're listening to Montgomery Mosaic on Talk Radio 1450 WOL, and I'm your host, Deborah Milo, and I have Larissa Johnson, Program Manager with the County's Department of Environmental Protection. She was kind enough to stop by to talk to us about the residential energy program and also some ways to save some money. So, Larissa, driving around, you see a lot more houses with solar panels on the roofs. Now, I remember when solar panels were the real new thing. That just kind of tells you how old I am. I'm not going to even get into that. But why is solar taking off once again?
Yeah, so solar energy is really ramping up, especially in Montgomery County. We actually were able to host meetings this past summer that were for the Montgomery County Solar Cooperative. Okay. And so we worked with a group called MD Sun. They're a nonprofit organization, and what they do is they make sure that Montgomery County residents have information about how to purchase solar. And this solar cooperative wasn't your traditional cooperative in that everyone went in and purchased solar together, and then it was invested at different homes. This was what MD Sun called a solar FOOP. So
Okay.
it's like a co-op.
But it's a faux-op.
It's a faux-op, meaning that each
Okay.
person invested in their own solar project
I
for their
see.
own homes. So
I
it wasn't
see.
a collective group,
Right.
but they did participate in collective bargaining. So a group of residents came together at the beginning of the summer, and they looked at all of the different solar companies that they could work with, and they chose one. And then that's the company that worked with all of the families. And we here in Montgomery County actually have the largest solar cooperative
Nice.
in the entire state and in all the adjoining states. So MD Sun is part of a larger group called Community Power Network, and they work with Ohio, Virginia, West Virginia, all over the eastern seaboard, basically, and a little bit in the Midwest. And we had 90 homes that put solar panels on their homes this past year.
90?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So it's the largest
That's a
solar
lot.
co-op in the area. So we're really proud of that. And we're hoping more people start investing in solar in the next year, and to host more events in the upcoming summer. And then one of the other great initiatives are for people like me who live in apartment buildings
I
and
was
don't
about to
have,
ask. Right.
not everyone has great roofs or actually even owns their roof.
True.
My roof is on the 18th floor and I'm on the second, so it's pretty far away from me. But legislation just passed this past year in 2016 to have a solar community co-op or community solar, pilot, not a co-op. So community solar gives people like myself or renters or people that have homes that don't have the ability to put solar panels the opportunity to invest in solar projects. So let's say a county building, for instance, or a school in the county decided to put solar panels on their roof. What it would allow us to do as a customer is to invest in that project and then receive benefits on our bill. So if I invested in one solar panel, whatever that solar panel produced, I would get the benefits for on my as a credit on my bill.
Very nice.
So that's coming. So be on the lookout for that.
Trust me, when it comes to something like that, because
Yeah.
it means saving money.
Exactly.
You know? So along with working on energy, the Department of Environmental Protection has a litter reduction program. Talk about that.
Sure. So, I mean, Eileen and Alan actually talked about it a lot in the first part,
True.
right? We want to make sure our air, water, and land is free of debris, essentially. And one of the major contributors to litter are our plastic bags, which they definitely talked about in the first half a lot.
They examined that very well.
Yeah, so plastic bags, we use them at grocery stores. We use them at big box stores like Best Buy, Target, all of those stores. And especially here during the holiday season, we're using a lot more plastic bags. Now, I don't know if you know, but we have a tax on those here in Montgomery County. So it's 5 cents. So not only every time you use a plastic bag, you're spending 5 additional cents, which could be huge savings during this time of year. But we in the county also offer people free reusable shopping bags. So you can get them at any county library. You just walk into your library, you say, hey, I'd like a bag, and you could get a bag at no cost. And they're great bags. They can be washed out, so you don't have to mix your bag, the grocery bag with your bag that you're bringing to Marshall's like I do. So I just rinse them out in the sink. And there's also other tips. If you go to Montgomery County MD.gov and then /bags, you can find out other ways on how to clean your plastic bags. But I think that's a great thing that we do at the county, is make sure people have the opportunity to have reusable bags at no cost.
And listeners, that's what it's all about, making sure that we're able to serve the county and also to protect our green space and all around us. Larissa, this has been a great discussion. Thank you so much, but that's all we have time for today. Thanks again for being our guests, and thank you to all of our guests, Eileen Kayo, Alan Pochenovich, and Larissa Johnson of the Montgomery County Department of Environmental Protection for spending some time with us today. And listeners, as always, thank you for tuning in and sharing your time. Now, don't forget to tune in again next month for another Montgomery Mosaic on 1450 WOL, WPRS HD2, and worldwide on WOLDCnews.com. Now, remember, reduce waste, reuse, and recycle, and make it a great day.
You've been listening to Montgomery Mosaic, featuring topics of interest to Montgomery County residents, businesses, and visitors. For more information or a copy of the show, email publicinformation@montgomerymd.gov or call 240-777-6507. Be sure to tune in at this time on the second Wednesday every month for Montgomery Mosaic on 1450 WOL, WPRS, HD2, and worldwide on WOLDCnews.com.